great expectations from which the shoe was absent, and saw that the silk stocking on it, once white, now yellow, had been trodden ragged. Without this arrest of everything, this standing still of all the pale decayed objects, not even the withered bridal dress on the collapsed from could have looked so like grave clothes, or the long veil so like a shroud. So she sat, corpse-like, as we played at cards, the frillings and trimmings on her bridal dress, looking like earthy paper. I knew nothing then of the discoveries that are occasionally made of bodies buried in ancient times, which fall to powder in the moment of being distinctly seen, but I have often thought since that she must have looked as if the admission of the natural light of day would have struck her to dust. He calls the knaves jacks, this boy, said Estella with disdain. Before our first game was out. And what coarse hands he has! And what thick boots! I had never thought of being ashamed of my hands before, but I began to consider them a very indifferent pair. Her contempt for me was so strong, that it became infectious, and I caught it. She won the game, and I dealt. I misdealt, as was only natural, when I knew she was lying in wait for me to do wrong. And she denounced me for a stupid, clumsy labouring boy. You say nothing of her, remarked Miss Havisham to me, as she looked on. She says many hard things of you, but you say nothing of her. What do you think of her? I don't like to say, I stammered. Tell me in my ear, said Miss Havisham, bending down. I think she is very proud, I replied, in a whisper. Anything else? I think she is very pretty. Anything else? I think she is very insulting. She was looking at me then with a look of supreme aversion. Anything else? I think I should like to go home and never see her again. Though she is so pretty, I am not sure that I shouldn't like to see her again, but I should like to go home now. You shall go soon, said Miss Havisham, aloud. Play the game out, saving for the one weird smile at first. I should have felt almost sure that Miss Havisham's face could not smile. It had dropped into a watchful and brooding expression, most likely when all the things about her had become transfixed, and it looked as if nothing could ever lift it up again. Her chest had dropped, so that she stooped, and her voice had dropped, so that she spoke low, and with a dead lull upon her. Altogether, she had the appearance of having dropped, body and soul, within and without, under the weight of a crushing blow. I played the game to an end with Estella, and she beggared me. She threw the cards down on the table when she had won them all, as if she despised them for having been one of me. When shall I have you here again? Said Miss Havisham. Let me think. I was beginning to remind her that today was Wednesday, when she checked me with her former impatient movement of the fingers of her right hand. There, there! I know nothing of days of the week. I know nothing of weeks of the year. Come again after 6 days. You hear? Yes, ma'am. Estella, take him down. Let him have something to eat, and let him roam and look about him while he eats. Go, Pip. I followed the candle down, as I had followed the candle up, and she stood it in the place where we had found it, until she opened the side entrance. I had fancied, without thinking about it, that it must necessarily be night time. The rush of the daylight quite confounded me. and made me feel as if I had been in the candlelight of the strange room many hours. "You are to wait here, you boy," said Estella, and disappeared and closed the door. I took the opportunity of being alone in the courtyard to look at my coarse hands and my common boots. My opinion of those accessories was not favorable. They had never troubled me before, but they troubled me now, as vulgar appendages. I determined to ask Joe why he had ever taught me to call those picture cards jacks, which ought to be called knaves. I wish Joe had been rather more genteelly brought up. And then I should have been so too. She came back, with some bread and meat and a little mug of beer. She put the mug down on the stones of the yard, and gave me the bread and meat without looking at me, as insolently as if I were a dog in disgrace. I was so humiliated, hurt, spurned, offended, angry. Sorry, I cannot hit upon the right name for the smart, God knows.